Hello and welcome once again to the Ops August Coaches Call. As always, we are joined here with fellow coaches Jeff Harwell,
Fine.
Monica Cahalan,
Hello.
and yours truly, Dr. Me. Uh, should be a fun show. Should be a fun show. Should be. If it's not, I blame Jeff.
Pretty solid.
Just, just, just so we're all clear. We have four things we're going to talk about today. We're going to do a client shout out. We're going to talk about some things we can always do to be a good training partner and things to keep in mind with that goal and objective. We're going to talk about differences between elite and intermediate power lifters. And then we're going to finish up with some good old fashioned shit talking. So let's start off with our first point. Let's do client shout outs. Monica, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I it's always hard to choose one, especially when everybody seems to be kind of riding the wave right now, for the most part. And so Haley is who I want to shout out because she's just killing it in the off season. I think it's really easy to slack and get sidetracked or say you want to do something and not do it. And her goals in the off season were to get into the lower weight class, lose a little bit of weight, and build some athleticism through some different movements, and get ready to do a really fun meet, in the upcoming spring. So
What meet?
she's going to do the bar
The
showdown
bar.
in Florida. You're so funny. In March, and in the
Fucking
meantime, too, she's also doing just a novice strongman competition in a couple weeks. So it's been really fun to for me to implement those movements too for her and watch her really just like become more explosive and more dynamic, especially through a cut. She's just become more energetic, and it's the coolest thing. And she's just like on top of it all. She gives wonderful feedback with every single session she does. Her check-ins at the end of the week are really thorough. If she has any troubles with anything, she presents them and we find ways to work around it or through it. And she's just a rock star. And I just can't wait for March. I think she's gonna just have a lot to celebrate through a really good off season.
excellent.
Yeah.
Hefe,
Hefe would like to call out Peter Zycolips. I don't know how to say his last name. It's really Greek. Um, Peter's had a really difficult like 2 months
yeah,
between work and just everything going on in his personal life. But the guy comes into every session with such a great attitude, willing to learn, wanting to get better. We were just talking the other day. He's put on 40 pounds since we started working together almost a year ago now. And it's all in his hips and his thighs and his glutes. And like the dude's looking really good. Even he can get
Centaur.
leaner. Yeah, he get really lean. He just hit a squat PR. He's repping his previous bench PR. Deadlifts are struggling right now, and that's one of the things that I really wanted to acknowledge is that he gets frustrated like I do a lot in his training, right? But instead of like sitting there and beating himself up, he like asks questions and wants more knowledge and is asking for more resources and always out there looking for own resources without me having to like guide him to them. So like I just really admire his go get him attitude, I guess. And yeah, he's doing a really good job, man. And I know when you're a younger lifter or younger in the sport, like you compare yourself to other people constantly, and you
Oh
always
yeah.
seeing how much stronger other people are than you. But like that's we all know that's not really what matters, and like as coaches, and it's just I don't know. I'm just really proud of him and inspired by his like attitude every session, and yeah. So I wanted to call that out for him.
I
That's
think
right.
there's always something wonderful, right? Like about someone who refuses to let excuses, right? Like define their training progress. And we can all come up with plenty of excuses on not to train or not to wake up early and show up to the session, right? That's easy,
Yeah,
super easy, right? But to have those excuses and not use them, instead just it is what it is. Life continues on. I'm trying to achieve a goal, right? Am I going to let
exactly.
myself talk myself out of my goal or am I going to show up anyways?
Right.
Good. Excellent. My client shout out is for my client Paul. Paul's a master's lifter, um, big old man. And when we started working together about a year ago, um, he came to me and wanted to really improve his squat, his deadlift, his overhead press, but mostly his squat. And when we started, we couldn't really hit a plate to depth. And it was hard to hold the bar on the back and hard to get the motion down. And, from that to this last Saturday, Paul squatted 445 for almost a double.
Nice.
um,
It was really cool.
yeah. And like a good quality unrack and walkout and mechanics. And, just lost a little bit of balance and position on rep two. Robin and I were on the side to spot it, right? Easy guide back into the rack. Not even like a catastrophic failure, just a little misgroove, as we like
Sure.
to call it. Our PE8 with a misgroove.
Yeah.
But not a limit lift by any means. And Paul's someone, same thing, right? Like could have as many excuses really as he could come up with. But instead chooses to do the hard thing, show up anyways, go to, if he has to train late at night, he'll go train late at night. Even when it's not optimal, he's never missed a session purposefully, or even gave anything less than his best effort on the day. And, like we do a lot of technique work. We do a lot of retooling of lifts. It's a lot of stuff to learn over the course of training with ops coaches. And Paul just continues to improve over and over and over each week, and dial in on the little things. And now he's training at the gym with us and is able to make that time work. And taken right to it, right? Like it's a little different at the gym, right? Where you're doing a round of accessories in between each set of your main lifts, and it's much harder and gets a heart rate going and it trains the work capacity, but he just takes to it so well. And I'm really excited for everything the future is going to hold with Paul. He's going to do squat only at the November meet, and that's gonna be a good
Yep.
time. So go, great job, Paul. All right. How to be a good training partner. Let's put this on rails a little bit. And what we'll kind of do is we'll each do one thing. We'll just go around our virtual circle. And we'll pick one thing that makes you a good training partner and then kind of see how long we can keep it going. So for this time, we're going to start with Jeff. Jeff, what's one thing that makes you a good training partner?
Can I add another caveat? Let's make it
Oh, sure.
alphabetical as well.
Oh, wow.
I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna skip right to like the M's, and then you can't go behind.
Can't go backwards.
I'm gonna say accountability.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Really alphabetical.
very nice.
Elaborate on your accountability necessity.
As a training partner, I believe the accountability to show up every training session, with at least the mindset to train. Like
Yeah.
we all have bad days and off days and don't feel our greatest, but at least I'm here. This is what's going to happen. And holding your training part or the people you are training with accountable as well. Like if they're squatting high, let them know. There's no reason to sit there and just, oh, it was a great job. Like when it was high. If it wouldn't pass, at a meet, let them know that. They should know that. Yeah, I think that's enough for now. You
Good.
guys go
Good.
ahead.
Monica.
Oh, man, that covered so many things
It
with
was two
accountability.
things.
Um, Yeah, I think consistency is important, is making sure that you're showing up for them too. Um, and I want two things. Um, they go hand in hand.
We have laws in this country.
Yeah, consistency is really important, being reliable so that it keeps the flow going and it pushes each other. And I think when you have a training partner that you are um being consistent for, they're being you're accountable to them. It continues to push your own progress on the days that you may not want to give it your all. And the benefit of having that training partner is sometimes that external stimulus and
Mhm.
arousal of training and having fun with somebody, that keeps you there. So that consistency showing up, not just for yourself but for them too.
I would say a really big part of being a good training partner is not just like focused on your training partner as they're lifting, right? But you're spotting, right? You're giving handouts. You're going over their checklist with them. If you know they have to put their foot a certain way as they set up for a lift, ensuring that they're doing that, right? Or they got all their equipment on them, wrist wraps, knee wraps, sleeves, whatever it's going to be. Like it's really easy to show up and, there's friends there that you can train with, but then people get on their phones, right? And they're not like clued in to the social energy that's in that room and they're not present. Their mind is elsewhere. And the easiest way to make a long training session go really fast is to stay present and focused on one another,
Yeah.
right? Shouts of encouragement, right? Cues, handouts, spotting, just being involved in the actual training process and not just, oh, my set's done, time's over. No, are you loading plates for that next person? Right? Ideally, you're training the same movements and you're sharing a fucking rack. And I think there's something that gets super lost when we talk about training dynamics when you have your entire training crew one person only on combo racks. You're not working in together. You're not changing plates, right? You want to know how you get really good at fucking kilo math? Change the damn plates, and it's not just yours. Now you got to do someone else's or a third person's, right? And then it builds these built-in rest periods because again, you're not on your goddamn phone.
Yeah.
You're paying attention to the world around you and being present for all of an hour and a half of your freaking day, right? And there's all this intrinsic knowledge and skill that you're going to pick up through that focus and presence. Jeff, do you have another one?
I, I mean, I think it all just comes down to the same things. Like the next one I was going to say is maturity. Um, Not necessarily like you have to be a mature adult to train, but like just know when it's time to turn that off or turn the nonsense off and it's time to train. And know your training partners and what you can and can't say around them. That's going to bring out the right arousal, basically.
I like it. Maka,
Um, do I have to give an attribute or can I?
you can use a word, you can use a color, you can use a theme,
You're so
Ooh,
funny.
maybe related to a funny anecdote you saw online.
possibly an animal.
Ooh, yeah. What kind of animal is a good training
Oh
partner?
man, that's hard.
Don't do that.
Yeah, let's not do that. Yeah, don't get my brain going there. Uh, Keeping it fun, like training should be really fun. It should be because it's hard work. And so like the moments in between where we can keep it light, and have a good attitude, it goes a long way. And it's contagious. So
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of training being fun.
Yeah, that was my next tangent point, whatever you want to call it, is attitude, right? And show up with a good attitude. No one likes it when Eeyore shows up to fucking train,
Yeah.
right? Where you're so just like locked up in your own stupid bullshit that you can't leave it at the door and you come in, your head's down, you're frowning, right? You're just dropping your bag and kicking at it a little bit. And like it just kills the vibe of the room. versus if you show up over caffeinated and just hopping around and beaming, right? And like pumped up and ready to go. That's a much different training session you're about to have than if someone has to pull you out of your fucking mopey muck, right? Just to go bench press and have fun picking up heavy circles.
Yeah.
Like
It's funny.
yeah, it's fun. It's discipline, but it's fun. You can have disciplined fun. And you can be happy in the gym, right? You don't have to just be killing all your demons all the time. Sometimes you can just be happy and you don't have to kill demons.
That's why you need Sly back in the gym.
Oh gosh, I
Yeah,
know.
or you can have, a dog that becomes unsocialized during a pandemic and just it's a
Wants to eat
giant
everybody
risk
instead.
management issue.
If you're
Totally.
not happy, you're going over
Actual
there.
dragon.
Yeah, an actual dragon.
He just doesn't breathe fire.
Yeah, just breathes
Close
teeth.
enough.
Yeah.
Close enough. Is there any other shit talking we want to do on being a good training partner?
Um, I think the reason it was a topic that was a good one to discuss is that we see a variety of different lifters that have training partners and the ones that don't, and how sometimes you really wish some of them did. And just the value behind it, I guess, is what I want to express. We're so fortunate the way that we coach people at Ops. We have the luxury of kind of cultivating different groups and dynamics that fit together really well, and getting people to share racks and equipment and stuff that can work well together is same way. And so we have a lot of control over that environment for that reason, but it doesn't mean that that can't be created in other places. You if you don't have a training partner, you have to kind of form a crew, and that starts with getting your headphones off, and talking to people. If you're talking to people, you're not going to be on your phone, and they're not going to be on their phone. And and I just think we've gotten away from putting ourselves out there in that regard of kind of building our own teams. I love seeing it when I
Totally.
do. I really like, I love, one thing I really have enjoyed seeing, like with my lifter Ben, his new
Yeah.
gym with Olympia
Olympia
Barbell.
barbell.
They're doing a really good job of like building community there, and you see a lot of people training together consistently. And I really appreciate that. I think that's the kind of energy it takes to continue to build this community in a really positive way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just silly, for you to be able to squat 500 pounds and do all these heavy lifts, but you can't ask, a stranger in the gym for a spot
Yeah.
or tell them how you want a handout, right? And then work with them on it a little bit and give some grace. But like, yeah, this whole antisocial lifting club nonsense, right? Like that's how you stay weak forever.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah.
Well, good. I think this pivots really well then to differences between elite and intermediate lifters. I'm going to start off on this one. One thing that I think comes to mind when I think of differences between elite and intermediate lifters is intermediate lifters are still figuring out what works for them at the current time, right? And what works now isn't going to be what works 2 years from now. And when the gains initially start slowing down, a lot of people panic with that first early plateau as an intermediate lifter where your lifts aren't going up, a bunch every 3 months. That's what I would call intermediate, is it takes longer than like a 12-week peak cycle to beat maxes. And it might take, half a year or close to a year to really start putting some significant numbers on squats. And I would say significant numbers being anything more than 20 pounds on squat, 10 pounds on bench, 20 to 30 pounds on deadlift. If you're not putting more than 50 pounds on your total in half a year, right, you're probably coming up to that intermediate advanced kind of bear dividing line
Yeah.
Yeah,
section,
Delineation.
hash mark.
different, different.
If we think of it as a thermometer, Um, and so I think what gets tricky for intermediate lifters is there's probably a bunch of things they still need to work on, but you can't work on it all at once. And you start having to focus periods of time on specific traits, whether that's a little bit of specific hypertrophy, where beginning lifters are just having hypertrophy occur alongside their actual strength. Maybe an intermediate lifter needs, 2, 3 months of just some dedicated higher volume accessory work. Or they really need to work on their actual like pausing strength on bench press, and getting away from some hyper specificity to really focus on that pause strength. And so to me, intermediate lifters, the big difference there is they need to start expanding their skill set and seeing after a significant period of time, like what works, what did I struggle with, what hurt me, what didn't work, even though I put a bunch of time in it, and just start getting a greater grasp for what themselves as a lifter needs to continue forward, right? But making these very small adjustments and lots of time to play out, right? Those adjustments they made and see if they work. Whereas an elite lifter already knows what works. Already knows, like, cool, I have these 3 movements for my bench that are big carryover to my bench. I can weave them in, 6, 8 weeks at a time and make pre-made 24-week training cycles already because they already know what works. What the elite lifter needs is time, most of all, um, skill practice, and what I would call resiliency of the body, because elite lifters are picking up and moving such big weights that there needs to be a time in their training program where they're able to pivot out of that and remove some load, and then be able to introduce it again at a patient rate and not rush right back into it. And so, whereas intermediate lifters have to figure out what works for them, elite lifters know what works for them, but have to be that much more rigid in how they incorporate it into their training plan. Monica?
Um, I get asked, well, I've gotten asked a lot, like, or I shouldn't say I've gotten asked, just people saying like, I want this, I want to be an elite lifter, and it's,
Sure,
and
sure.
it's what's the number to be an elite lifter? That's the question. I guess I should rephrase it that way. It's like, what's the number for my weight class to be an elite lifter? And then I have to go hunt it down and write it down on the board for the millionth time. But it's and every time I do, it always brings up a really good conversation with said lifter, which is, like it's a number. It's just a number. It's a number that but it's the behaviors and stuff that we do that get us there. It's the dedication and the non-negotiables that you're now willing to adapt to, because like when you're an immediate lifter, it's very hobbyist, and you can give it or take it. If you miss a week, it's not the end of the world to you. It's kind of like, ah, shit, shucks, darn, that's too bad. Where like an elite lifter would be destroyed, if it were pertinent to like a peaking cycle or something like that. um but I'm just saying that I really think that the the non-negotiables that they have now decided, which are like, I am always going to show up. I'm always going to give it my best. I'm going to go to bed every single night at the same time, as, so help me God. I'm going to eat all my food. I'm going prioritize recovery. The one thing that when Dave was talking about the different stimuluses that each type of lifter might need, the recovery aspect is always a huge factor for both. Is like how well you can only push the body as far as that body is able to recover, and each person is so different in how they can do that, like depending on what their lifestyle is like, their external stressors, how good of a sleeper they are, so many different things. And so I really think that it's like all those behaviors, and I know just from my own experience, those were the things that really kind of changed it for me was like, okay, I'm not going to be in a band anymore because I have to stay up late at night, multiple nights a week. I used to play in a band like most of my life. I've several different ones, and it's just a lifestyle that didn't correlate. It was kind of a pivotal moment. It was what am I gonna decide to be excellent at and
Yeah.
continue to be in a band and a mediocre lifter, or do I really want to try to be an elite lifter? Well, I had to get rid of the lifestyle that kept me up late at night and up late on the weekends and possibly drinking, you know, through the weekends and unoptimal conditions and it didn't fit. And so a lot of times that conversation of, the initial elite total number leads to like, what are you willing to do to get there?
Yeah.
You know,
The sacrifice.
what are you, because when you, or, I might even say like, what are elite lifters that doing that you're not doing? They might be prioritizing all those things I listed, sleep and nutrition and, external stressors and all the above. Because I really think that's the difference. And that's what it takes is the behaviors that get the results. The total is just the receipt.
I like that. Yeah, I think the sacrifice aspect is a lot starker for intermediate versus elite lifters, right? And intermediate lifters are still kind of getting their training plan put together. Maybe I'm going to train some more days a week now and see how long I can string that. Whereas like the elite lifter, if they are going to increase their training plan, that's a very specific time in their yearly schedule that they do that with and then taper it back down and adjust. But like Monica was saying, like all the recovery aspects are taken care of. And like not just taken care of, but like actively focused on. An elite lifter isn't going to forget their lunch, you know. Elite lifter isn't going to if they're having to drop a weight class, right? They're not going to try and do it the laziest way possible on diet without trying to make any sort of change in their, you know, daily food preparation, right? The elite lifter isn't going to the gas station or the grocery store to buy every single meal on the go, right? They're preparing all that ahead of time so that they are ready to go. And the time management aspect is just so much greater and organized. And that's all a skill. And that's something, by the time you hit that elite total, that's a skill you really want to have honed.
Yeah.
Jeff?
I mean, you guys put it very elegantly already. So yeah, the biggest things I reiterate. Jesus, sorry, give me a second. To go back to what you said is like an elite lifter knows what works for them. They already have like the variables are already dialed in, right? The stress is managed. The food is taken seriously. The recovery is taken seriously. All those variables are dialed in, and an immediate lift or intermediate lifter is, like you said, still trying to figure out what works for them and hasn't figured that out yet. But yeah, I think you guys both said it better than I could and said everything I was going to say. So
I mean, especially like if you think of intermediate as probably like your second, maybe going on third year in the sport, right? No, some people blow through that phase really fast, and it's just part of their continued newbie gains up to an elite total. I think what gets really hard is if you have someone that's very strong right away and they haven't built the habits to support that strength, is you end up with a really narrow base of support on their pyramid of power, as I like to call it. They can only build so high before it topples over, right?
and that's why I don't like using a total as that
Right.
metric, right? Because I
Right.
think there's more to being an elite lifter than the
Couldn't agree
total.
more. Because there's always outliers, right?
Yeah, there's going to be a phenom
Always.
out there,
Always.
and they know their body. I mean, I guess they know what works for them in that regard, and they check that box. But is the rest of the stuff elite? Probably not.
Yeah,
I know people on that compete on the world stage that are elite lifters that don't have any of their shit dialed in.
yeah,
So, but they're just in a weight class and can, you know, they are good. That's not the point. But like there's just not enough competitors at that weight class in these age groups that they're an elite lifter. And are
sure.
they? That was more of a conversation that I thought would be more interesting. Is
Oh, for sure.
So
Good.
I like that. Would you say top 100 in your weight class is elite?
Yeah, what would we have, like a million entries now? I think. Yeah, I would think 100 be the top.
Now, is
Are
that
we? Are
all
we?
time or
Is
for
yeah, I was
the
gonna
or
say,
for the year?
ooh, that's hard, but not everybody competes every year.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't compete every year. You don't
Yeah,
compete every year.
I know.
Hmm.
But I have a 2K total, so that kind of does everything, right? Like,
Checks all the boxes.
yeah.
Uh,
Okay, because a 1K. So
I did a 2K one time,
for
so that
girls, for girls, that's another metric that a lot of girls want to hit is a 1K total, right?
yeah,
Or men want to hit a 2K total. And same exact thing. It's like, well, you better start asking around all the other women that got a 1K total because they'll probably tell you exactly how they got it.
steroids, cheatery.
Well, I don't want to leave that off the table either, though, because the truth is this is a sport of tested and untested. And, when like you brought up your lifter that, being a young lifter or brand new to the sport, it's so hard not to compare yourself to other people just by virtue of trying to find other power lifters to relate to. Then we're scrolling on our phones and all of a sudden we realize like, oh my God, there's so many more strong people out there than I thought. And I'm like low on the totem pole kind of a thing. We kind of freak ourselves out with that.
Which is hilarious because like already you're comparing yourself to people who naturally gravitate towards a sport based on strength.
Yeah.
So it's already going to be, pretty much the strongest people you will ever meet. But I would say the average power lifter, goes to their job and goes to work and goes to the grocery store, and they're probably the strongest person in
They,
that store at one time, unless they're in a group with other powerlifters or there's a meet that weekend.
yeah. Yeah, but
yeah, and you
there's a
don't.
lot of factors, in the comparison game that just, yeah, it's not worth it.
It's such a wild thing in strength sports, like specifically. If you don't see like high school football players getting upset because John Elway threw a great pass. I'm aging myself, but Joe Burrow threw an amazing pass. He's like, oh, I can never do that, so I might as well quit. Like, why? What is this quitting mentality? I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's
It's
annoying, isn't
wild.
it? It's
Yeah,
crazy,
it's
especially because, being somebody that I love Dave's description of it is, just sitting there hammering the nail over and over and over for years and years. And, it's that's what it takes.
Loco man. Uh, yeah, I especially dislike it too when that's treated as discouragement rather than celebrated as someone has been plugging away at this discipline, right, for a significant period of time. And now it's finally their time in the sun. They get to have their day. They get to have that all-encompassing, best lifter, right? They got to lift with John Hack, and they really get to witness something that so few people ever really get to see in person, right? And I think even just to be in that company, right, in that flight on these pro meets is such a huge win.
Yep.
And people should treat it like that. Like if you got into the competition and you are on that pro day and you are on that, right, pro card, that pro flight, like that that's the win. Yes, go out there and do your best, try to win, get your medal and everything like that. But, you know, that's 15 people in that flight over all of powerlifting, and you get to be one of those 15, right? For this competition, you get to be the one going up on stage with the whole crowd's paying attention because they know this is the A team flight. Like that shit's fun. And it grows you as a competitor, right? It grows you as a lifter. You get to meet new people, and see how they train and have these just wonderful conversations with others. And it's so much more than just simply training to get stronger.
Yeah.
And and that's still assuming that the strongest person wins on the day, which we've all seen not happen
Yep.
plenty of times, right? And so there's a strategy element to this attempt selection and weigh-ins and who cut too much water weight and all these different little things that add up on the day. And I think it's just such a silly thing, and my perspective of it is when I started powerlifting, right? Like the number one person in my weight class was Eric Lillybridge. And you just get started powerlifting, and the best guy in your class is squatting 900, benching 534, and pulling 900. Okay, well, is it realistic, for me to think I'm going to beat Eric Lillybridge? No. But can I get as high up on those rankings as I possibly can, right? And really enjoy what I'm doing and do the best my body can do that's 4 inches taller than everyone else in my weight class. Yeah, I do not understand the mindset of being discouraged by others' success.
Me
That's
neither.
scarcity mindset bullshit. And there's enough room for everyone to have the best fucking time ever.
Yeah, and I've done I'm just sitting here listening to you. It's like I've done a lot of silly things over the years that have kept my eye on that goal. Is like I used to write on my mirror every couple of days, change the mantra. I changed the screensaver on my phone to the goals, my lifts that I wanted. I wrote on a rock that I stuck a rock in my pocket for years. I think little symbolism, stuff like that's silly, but it really does keep it on the forefront of your mind. And
I
and
think it's necessary.
yeah, and even though, like, I mean, I checked out open powerlifting myself and where I fit in, I don't know how many times, just like everybody else. And it was more of it wasn't discouraging for me. It was like, okay, I got to do this. I'd kind of hit I'd look through the ranks and like, okay, if I could do this, then that would, get me at this achievement or blah, 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 and it became really strategic, and it was a matter of, yeah, just
Yeah.
it was just kind of a fun game the
That's why
whole
she's the only one with a world record.
I still look at
Good.
it like I still look at this as a game like going to Chicago. Like I've never pulled sumo in a competition before. I'm trying to, be back in the lighter weight class, doing things there. It's a pro meet in a different place with way strong people and it's just fun. It's freaking cool. Yeah, it's a fun game. We'll see how it works out. And I already feel like yeah, the opportunity alone is a huge win to me just to be able to fit into that group. So yeah, it's fun.
All right. This brings us to the fun part of this call. I don't know. This could get pretty unhinged. We'll see where the vibes and rants take us. But let's welcome everyone to Shit Talk. TOK.
Monica.
I'm gonna start
Oh, you're gonna start.
I love this.
just because I want dibs on this.
Okay.
Abs,
Oh, thank God.
your weigh-in face-offs are the cringiest shit I've ever fucking seen in my life. I saw guys that weren't even in the same weight class. Just one little guy staring up at the other dude, the other big guy looking down, probably hurt his fucking neck, right? And it's like, and they're just staring at one another. There's no hands up because we're not fucking fighting. We're lifting weights in an organized fashion.
Yeah.
Stupid. And also all this catering to Steffi Cohen. Fuck Steffi Cohen.
Yeah.
What an asshole.
Yep.
Blows my fucking mind they give this asshole a platform and just throw her assholeness all over the internet all over again. We just kicked her out. We just got rid of this asshole. Oh, sure, let's bring her all back because it draws views to our Fed rather than just putting on good competitions.
Yeah.
Crazy thought. You could just put on great competitions that draw people to it, have a set standard that isn't so super strict to set you apart. That's another thing too, is like if your standard is so different from every other standard of every other Fed, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And you don't know how to call squat depth. Ha! Take that. You know why we can say that? Because this is fucking America. And we're the best goddamn powerlifters on the fucking planet. And we can prove it. We don't have to go fly to Europe to get called high on a 2 depth squat out of some shitty ass combo mono rack nonsense because y'all don't have enough steel in the fucking Europe to build an actual monolift. And you have to lift out of these janky fucking half ass put together fucking shenanigans racks, right? Yeah, I said it.
Yeah. I was really, really disappointed as a female seeing Steffi on there. It was just kind of like it just killed my soul a little bit. As soon
Gross.
as I saw, yeah, I was just kind of like, are you kidding me? I just it was so disappointing. And I just yeah, I just think it's such a bad look. Such a bad look.
Of all the great lifters that you could
Literally.
get behind, right, and really like throw
For
support
America,
into.
I can think of so many
Yeah,
that are deserving of that shot.
yeah,
I just can think of so many that I don't care. I
that
just
aren't
don't.
spouse abusers.
Yeah, I just hate
Yeah,
it. I just don't like that.
totes.
Yeah.
Have some morals. That'd be helpful.
Well, and okay, here's the thing too, is like when you're in a role of leadership, and or a voice for the sport as she was, she was a coach, she was a physical therapist, and she had her own brand and app and all this stuff, and that's an influential place to be. And not everybody has the luxury of having that kind of a reach. And just knowing like I have daughters in the sport and or a daughter in the sport, and the things that I hope the content that they find valuable isn't that shit. Like I just don't think she should have access to that community anymore after proving to be like so
Toxic as
vile.
all hell. Yeah.
Yeah, like just awful, not just to her abusing her husband, but she was awful to the other female competitors when she took on boxing. Some of the things that she said are just so like uh, inhumane, anti-humanitarian, I guess I want to say. And I'm all for competition or, fun talking shit. I loved your talking shit with Dan over the fantasy draft, that kind of stuff. That I love that. Love
Yeah.
it. But I don't like insults, things that lead to, I mean, insults. I mean, legit, and yeah, that's the kind of shit she's flying around. I just don't think that I'm not going to support her, and I hope other people see that too, and that she's not a viable source for views.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Whatever. Yeah,
She
it was
she is
upsetting.
because the internet's a terrible
Yeah, and I
place.
guess that the week leading up to that meet and stuff is just all over the place, and then all the other there was just a lot of shit that week of just a lot of bullshit, pick me shit, just drama, just lift. Just, I don't know. I just every time I was disappointed in what I was seeing, and I just
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to be happy. I don't want to be a disappointment. I don't want to be disappointed.
I mean, it's just one of these things, right? And I'm not excusing by any means, but in a sport that is riddled with hormone manipulation, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a
I
cop
mean,
out though.
I'm
How
not
many
saying
one
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm
Sure,
saying.
fair. Go ahead. Sorry.
We are going to have these people constantly show up, right? And in our environment. But like it's constantly like nothing's done about it. And that's what's frustrating to
Exactly.
Yeah.
me about it, right? It's like Steffi gets another goddamn platform. Like the whole nonsense with the not nonsense, it's really ridiculous, but the IPF spotter.
Yeah.
Like people are still gonna sign up for IPF meets
Yeah.
and they're gonna sit here on their soapbox and racism this. And I mean anybody who knows
Well,
me is
look
very
how USPA has turned out. They seem to
and
be
this
not
is
having too much bad of a time either after all their shit. It's unreal. But
yeah,
people put their money in the wrong place.
100%. And it's getting so aggravating that like people want to get on a soapbox and declare like, oh, I'm not a racist. Like, great, stop spending money in these organizations that clearly are. Like, stop going to the gyms that clearly are. Like, don't be a part of it. Just stop like being a part of this nonsense. It drives me crazy. But
Same, same.
like nothing's going to happen with the IPF until people stop competing in the organizations that support the IPF. Plain and
Yeah,
simple.
which I would argue
So
is never going to happen.
So zoom in a little bit more in a
Yeah,
more local area and more like in like what we can do in our own community is like we need to like stop allowing these people in our gyms and in our
sure.
meets, right? Like
Well, we
I
have
get
precedent. We have a precedent for all that, right? We have precedent for male powerlifters not being allowed back into federations because of misconduct,
right,
right? Whether it's being a fucking creep, right? Or threatening violence against officials or just acting in a completely insane manner. We have all the precedent we need to
Well, yeah,
enforce a code of conduct and a standard of
right,
character for competition.
but USPA was another example at nationals this year. This year of
Oh yeah,
Drake
Zebulon.
Zebulon competing at nationals, and he shouldn't have been in that Fed ever
Yeah,
again.
who's supposed to be banned?
He was supposed to be banned. And that and again, just it's just this constant shit of
Goldfish memory.
standards. Yeah, I didn't forgot any.
Well, and that's a tricky part too. If you think about it, if most lifters are done by their second meet,
Bingo,
right?
there you
Like,
go.
there's
bingo.
only so much of us that continue to stick the
Say like,
challenge.
hey, does
And
anybody else remember?
yeah,
Yeah,
and
good point. That's what happens when the statistics aim to be true of like, yeah, the statistic of you do two powerlifting meets and then you dip out, don't compete again. And it goes along with that whole like not even intermediate to elite category. That's just like a hobbyist that decided that, that wasn't
yeah,
enough, or, just ready to move on. There's a lot of people that get into powerlifting that we've all met folks that are carrying a lot of baggage and they're looking somewhere to exercise their demons. And I really encourage that. I like exercise is a great tool to help work off the stress that we carry around, but it's not a place to therapize it, right? And so I think sometimes though there's individuals that try to turn it into therapy. And then what happens when the rewards start running out? It's not a PR every single time or every other week or, and you hit that plateau, it becomes unrewarding. And then it's like, well, I'm going to go find something else that starts hitting all that dopamine,
yeah.
the same way as powerlifting was in the beginning. So I think I'm just going to be done. That's so common. I've seen it so many times, and yeah, it's no wonder we have bullshit in the feds, like you said. And there's a constant recycle of a new audience every couple years. Who cares? I care. I really
Here.
fucking care. I care a lot.
Well, and I think that's why we align with the meet directors that we do and the
Yes.
organizations that we do,
Yep.
is we know these we can I always feel like my biggest responsibility as a coach is when I encourage someone to go compete that I can vouch for the organization they're competing in,
Yeah.
that they're going to be
Yeah.
treated properly, that the officials are going to behave properly, and that the competitors, right, are good competitors to compete with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then other people will be like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. It's just competition. It's not serious." Like, cool, that helps.
Yeah.
Let's just not do anything.
Seems to be common.
What else do you have to talk shit about, Jeff?
I'm gonna be an old man yelling at the sky for or the
Yes.
clouds, I guess, for a little bit.
Do
Um,
it. I have to pay some. I might have
I don't know
slipped.
if it's humbleness that what I think people need, or I don't know. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but here's basically where I'm going to talk about. I'm sick and tired of seeing people fail lifts like catastrophically or like badly with no spotters and then posting it on YouTube like or Instagram anyway. And it's like, oh, whatever, RPA with a misgroove, da da da, and like completely downplaying the fact that they could have died. And like it goes viral. And there's hundred of comments like, "Oh, bro, oh man, you almost had it." Da 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 da. And then you go in through their page, and everything else only has like 30, 40 likes because
Sure.
there's nobody actually holding the or like actually supporting this person. They don't have a good group around them. And if like they do have comments, it's just blowing smoke up their ass. And it's like I get this is a hobby for a lot of people, but like some of us take it seriously. And
Sure.
it's really frustrating to see like everything that you do made to be a joke of by other people. And it's like, oh, well, I failed. It's like, well, failures happen. We've all failed lifts. But like do it in the safest manner possible to where you
Yeah.
can't like you're more than likely not gonna die.
Well, and there used to be like kind of a culture and a vibe where if you failed a lift, you were too embarrassed to post it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Like,
I remember.
shame used to be a thing, right? And you could actually feel embarrassed for doing a shitty job with your lift and kind of feel like I don't want someone to see this rather than, brushing it off. Ha 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 ha. All fine. Like, well, you fucked up that combo rack for
I
like
was,
the eighth goddamn
I was just
time.
gonna say that's also why we don't have open gym.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's for that
So
kind of shit.
Yeah, I would kick a lifter. I mean, if anyone dumped a bar just consciously like that after our gym's very simple, right? If you're lifting heavy, you're gonna have spotters.
yeah.
It's
Whether you
not
like it or
really a
not.
choice. And if that was someone just lifting in my gym who decided it was totally cool to take all the calibrated kilo plates, right, and just dump on a combo rack with the face savers, they're not
Not
safety
squat
plates. They're
safeties.
not squat safeties. They're face savers for bench. It's not meant to take that fucking weight. And then
It
to have
literally
someone
says that
just
when
be
you buy
so,
it.
yeah, and just to have someone be so disrespectful that they can't even treat the equipment properly, yeah, I'd kick their punk ass out.
Yep. 100%.
Some of us don't own our own gym, Mr.
Oh, I
Capital.
highly recommend
So,
it if you never want to make like
Any money.
any money.
And you want to constantly put money back into it.
Yeah, if you have
To just put more money back
if you
into
just want
it.
to live life on hard mode, I
Yeah,
could not recommend it more.
absolutely.
oh,
Being
my
a small
capex is
business,
so
Breaking
big.
taxes,
yeah, small
you
business owner in America, could
yeah.
not recommend it more
Yeah.
for upping your life difficulty
Yeah.
level.
If you want to be a survivalist, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. But maybe that's why my gym's still open after a decade. And I can't
Survive
count how
COVID.
many I've seen open and closed in that time.
And you survived COVID with not being open.
Yeah.
Yeah, not open. Not open at all. That
I mean, it was a
was
dance studio. That was cool.
well, you gotta at least give people an idea of the space when it's not being used, right?
This is what could be.
Yeah. And I told 2K right after.
You sure did.
Yeah, it's all the shuffle dancing.
Definitely.
Andy Wong's about to learn that. Andy Wong just made a little post on Instagram the other day. He's like, I think I'm gonna learn shuffle dancing. I always wanted to know how. I was like, God damn, he's gonna squat 1,200. He thinks he's all done with powerlifting. He's gonna get done with his fucking shape cutting and fucking T-stepping and be able to just, yeah, blast up squats like nobody's business.
So funny.
I believe in
Is
him.
that the key? Stop running and start shuffle dancing?
I'll tell you what, you were talking about your shins hurting pretty bad on running. I remember I would finish 2 hours of shuffle dancing and then I would get home and I couldn't walk the rest of the night. I could barely stand up. So yeah, it's probably more aggressive. It's just plyometric the whole
Yeah.
time. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's just constant plyometrics.
But looks really cool when you get that nice, cut with like roses playing in the background. Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, good stuff. Does anyone else have any other shit talking they want to do? Get off their chest?
You look like you do, Monica.
Not really. That kind of covered it. It was so general. I I just got to the end of the week last week and I was like, I hate the internet. I just, it was so disappointing. Every time I would open it up, it would be some bullshit, or yeah, glorifying some bullshit.
Oh, that's a good point. I saw it on a post today, talking about how, the social media aspect is really required, for you to make a living from powerlifting. And I can tell you from experience, it's really not. It's not, and if we give power to these things, right, they have power over us.
Yeah.
And it's not an enjoyable existence. And people will learn this, especially the younger lifters as they get older, being beholden to social media 24/7 every single fucking day. And all your business shit has to go on there and all your personal shit has to go on there. And it's just, you know, these apps are designed to
Be interactive.
keep you engaged, right? They're not designed to give you clients. They're just not. You know where you get clients from? Going to meets, meeting people, going to different gyms, meeting people. For all these coaches out here that are trying to, make a living and get new clients, right? Like you need to be showing up in person to as many places as you can and build your team locally, right? From there, right? Like you may get some online lifters filtering in here and there, but I think it's a huge failing in the sport, and especially for coaches, to think they can be fully online all the time, right? And like that takes a long time to build up that kind of client book.
Yeah.
Right. And you're always competing with everyone else that's getting views and all this kind of nonsense versus having quality conversations with people, going on message boards, right? Like trying to move outside of social media algorithms and connect with people in person. That's going to bring you so many more clients than continuing to make the same fucking slide decks or act like an asshole on social media to get more views because it
Yeah.
prioritizes people being assholes in the algorithm. So if I can be an asshole and say these stupid controversial things that make no one's life better, it's just you putting on an act to pretend like a hard ass. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's childish as shit. And your clients are going to be childish as shit if that's where you're picking up the majority of them from. And they're not going to be good clients and they're not going to last a long time. They're going to be terrible communicators, right? And so to me, the best things you can do if you really want to, be a powerlifting coach is continue to work on your own craft with powerlifting, continue to build relationships with people in your own gyms. Everyone in your gym should know you're a powerlifter and you're a coach. Every single person. Because eventually a question's going to come up and they're going to
yeah.
treat you as the content expert.
Yeah.
And there's your opportunity right there to water your garden of potential clients one day. And like putting all of your time into your social media presence, you can tell. You can tell who
Yeah.
puts all their time into their social media presence and 3 spots open
Yeah.
and just all this stupid shit. And there's a new post every single fucking day, right? And is it a post that's there to make the sport better? Probably not.
Or is it just content filler?
Or is it just bullshit, fucking useless content? Right? And it's like if you are going to make content, make the content that you would have wanted to see when you were at that level. What would have helped you? That's not that hard to do, right? But you turn it into like, oh, posting challenge. I'm going to post every day for 365 days. Won't read a book during that entire time, but you'll sit on your stupid ass little phone the whole time, right? And get your little dopamine fix, you little addict, right? It's trash. It's garbage. And I know as the sport continues to evolve, social media has done a wonderful thing for powerlifting, right? But there's still more meets that don't have live streams than meets that have live streams.
Yeah.
And that's never going to change. And there's still more local meets than there are national meets and pro meets. right? And everything happening at the grassroots level is where the sport really lives and breathes.
Yep.
And where you're going to meet a lot of the people you're going to know for the next decade plus when you're in this sport, right? And the better you can get out there, meet people in person, and build your reputation that way, the further you are going to go as a coach.
And I'm not, just to kind of reiterate what, like, not reiterate, but go on what you said. Like, some of us have been around for a while and
Yeah.
we've seen like the evolution of the influencers and we knew what you were like before. So don't like sit on the soapbox and tell people, you know, da 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 da, I'm so much better than you. Like when we know what you were doing beforehand. And it's like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just seems
Totally.
so disingenuous and fake.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's why you 3 spots open. You always have 3 spots open because it's not real. And like you said, building the connections in person is so much better and being at those meets. And that's how people learn who you are, not through a screen. But I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep. Being a real human. Way to go, team. I like this call. This turned out really fun. Seems like we
Yeah.
got some shit off our chest.
For now.
Well, thank you everyone for watching the August Ops Coaches Call. And we look forward to posting this. You'll be seeing this on Wednesday, the 12th, later this evening, recorded earlier today. Stay frosty.